Well, you want to you want to hop on once you get to where you're going, or
Nah, dude, let's go guerrilla warfare. Let's get it. Can you hear
okay?
me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
All
hear
right,
me?
bet. Yeah, man, you're loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, this will be an unusual one, but I'm happy to roll with it.
Hey, dude. Yeah, let's bring all the vibes. Who
Yeah.
doesn't love an aesthetic, you know?
It seems like it was about this time, exactly like a year ago, right? That we did the last detail.
Was it around this time?
I feel like it was around about this time last year.
We had a birthday cake.
Yeah,
We
for real.
did-
And like oddly enough, covering another movie called The Last something. Like that was totally unplanned, but we're here for the finales, I guess.
That's a really cool like detail to point out. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Let me ask you what, because I was trying to think of this myself when I was rewatching this movie. Do you remember like roughly the first time you heard the band, and then like roughly the first time you saw this movie?
I think roughly the first time I heard the band, I think it was one of those things like I didn't really know it was them. I think I know when I was working at Willow Tree is when I really, really got into them.
Hmm.
Because Magus loved them, and he kind of started like kind of putting me on.
Yeah.
But I think the first time I heard the band was probably like it had to be like Dixie Down, probably like on the radio or something,
Yeah.
or like via Bob Dylan, maybe like basement tape stuff.
Yeah. I got into
And
that Basement Tapes record in college really heavily.
dude, it's so good. It's aging like fine wine.
It's pretty great. What about the film? When's the first time you watched the movie?
First time I watched the movie, I was living in Johnson City in apartment 31 with Isaac Jones.
Hmm.
And we didn't have cable at the time, so we were just going and like buying DVDs, like that was like our entertainment. And I saw that there, and I just got really into rock docs. I just wanted to see everything I could.
Yeah.
So I found it at Mr. K's, and we went home. I went home and watched it, and that was probably like 2019, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So not too long ago then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was one I got hit to like kind of later on.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I probably saw it in college. I feel like I saw it for the first time hanging out with Gilmer and Barrett and the Rickshaw Roadshow crew. I also feel like there was a time when I went over to JQ's house apartment, wherever he was living at the time, and I think he had it on, and he was like jamming along to it or something, and we watched a bit of it.
Classic Jake. Shout out.
Yeah, I feel maybe he can confirm or deny that later. I should probably text him and ask him, but I have a memory of that somehow. And then yeah, I just watched it probably three or four more times over the years. And but this time watching it, it added this whole new wrinkle to it because the first thing I thought when I saw the guys come on was like, all these guys are dead now, like they're all gone.
Dude, I
And
was watching it last night and I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I think this is like one of the only classic rock bands in that, in that box that where everybody has said goodbye. And
yeah,
that was really trippy.
yeah, yeah, because there's still a couple Beatles, there's still a couple Stones.
Yeah. We got one monkey
We
left.
got one
The Kinks
monkey.
are still here, right?
I think both Ray and Dave Davies are still alive if I remember right. But yeah, it's like speaking of like especially an American band because they're really like the only American band from that time that I feel like is in that conversation with the Beatles, the Stones, the Animals,
Well,
all those like major, mostly British like 60s, 70s bands.
well, dude, what's funny is like it's funny there's only one American because all those guys are Canada. And the only
Yeah. Oh,
American
yeah.
is
That's
Levon.
right. Yeah. That's a good way to point it out. Because
Which
that's
is
yeah,
kind of
that's totally
crazy
true.
because they sound so like I think they're like one of the most American sounding bands.
Yeah, I mean they talk about in the doc like combining all of the basically everything they heard from Memphis to the Mississippi Delta to Chicago blues to like Appalachian roots music, which we're very familiar with growing up where we grew up. And it is this, and at one point somebody asks Levon, well, like, what do you call that when you combine all that stuff? And he says rock and roll. And it
I
kind
love
of,
that moment. It's
yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
it kind of makes perfect sense, but yet at the same time they still don't sound like anybody else. I feel like.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Captain Planet crew of music. It's just crazy how, like, if you really take them apart, everyone is integral. Like, you can't leave anybody out. Like, you really can't.
No,
You
no. I mean,
can't.
I feel like when I first heard the band, I went to this record store. You remember that little record store in Bristol that was only open for like a couple of years? This was probably like, it was in the spot right next to what used to be the Java J's coffee house.
Yeah, that's like
Um,
kind of like near the comic store and everything, right?
yeah,
That
on
little
State
section.
Street. There was a
Yeah.
record
Okay.
store there for a little while, and I went in. My parents actually took me over there one day to get me a handful of records. I think it was my birthday or something. They were like, just, pick out a couple of things that you like. And I got Allman Brothers Fillmore East, a Yardbirds record, the one Yardbirds record with Eric Clapton on it. And then I found this album that's like just this picture of these five dudes, and it's brown. The sleeve is brown, and it just says the band on it. And I was like, what the fuck? You can't just call your band the band. Like, who are these guys? I didn't know them. I had never heard of them before. I want to say I was probably 18, 19 maybe. And I looked at the cover for a while, and I was just like, these dudes look like real, like, mountain men. Like, this is going to be some weird, like, bluegrass, like, heavy roots music. And I was like looking at the track list, and I'm like, okay, Cripple Creek, Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, like all of these song titles that sound like really old roots music, or really old, like, I don't know, coal miner ballads or some shit, right? And
Dude, yeah, yeah.
and then I got it home and I played it, and I was just like, I could not believe what I heard. Like, I couldn't believe the sound, because it's this roots rock music, but with this wild organ, and they're singing like 3-part harmonies, and the drummer is the lead singer, and it was just something that I had never experienced before. I had no idea at the time their connection to Bob Dylan, that they were his backing band, or their connection with, like, I mean, all of these other people. We'll talk about like all the people who are actually in this movie at the farewell concert, because it's like fucking unbelievable, the number of names that they got at this thing.
Star power's high. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one point Robbie Robertson says, I think in one of the interviews that's on the Criterion disc, they're doing like, it's him and Scorsese, and they're doing like some late night talk show. And he was saying, we'll probably never see this kind of gathering again. Like, this gathering of these kinds of people may never happen again. And I was racking my brain to think, like, I can't really think of anything that stands up to this, as far as like, the sheer number of like super important artists that came to this thing and played with them.
Racking brains, nah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to count We Are the World, I feel like it's a cop out. But that's like not the
Right.
same.
But even that's a studio recording. Like, this is a live show.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
okay.
being filmed by one of the great directors of all time. Scorsese hadn't even planned on making it a movie. He just wanted to like document it, which I also think is really fascinating. He was thinking the whole time of like, well, maybe we can just like, I just want to get it down, and maybe it'll be put in an archive somewhere, and that'll be that. And then when they start going through the process, he's like storyboarding, he's listening to all the lyrics, and he's writing storyboards, drawing storyboards to the lyrics, which is crazy to me. Like, he's planning out shots, certain camera shots, based on who's singing when and what they're singing. And they bring on this production designer who's like, we need like this operatic ballroom set, and they're going to do it at Winterland, and that's like a legendary San Francisco venue with Bill Graham. It's the first place they played as the band, and it's going to be the last place they play as the band. And then Scorsese, as they're doing this, he's like, "Oh, this is a movie." He says this in an interview, like, I think it was done like a couple years ago, just for the Criterion release. He's like, "Oh, this is a movie." And then I don't know, man. It just like, it fundamentally changes the medium, as far as I'm concerned. As far like making a rock and roll documentary and a concert movie, there's this, and then there's Stop Making Sense, which I feel like owes a lot of debt to this movie. And then you kind
I
of
never thought about that, but yeah, I
and then
see
you
you.
kind of get But they're kind of those are kind of the two movies that really set the template for this whole thing. That now obviously we see these kinds of movies are still happening to this day. But this is when you reached out to me, it was like I want to do a rock doc. This was the only one that I could think of. Like we got to cover this, because I'd done a couple in my first season that were really fun, but this is like the number one. It's kind of the reigning champ in my mind.
Man, I'd probably have to agree with that, dude. Just because it's like you kind of nailed it with like the stars aligning in the perfect circle of it, and the fact that they like I guess you gotta give a lot of this to Robbie, that he's willing to sort of dig in and also kind of like cheesily lean in. All respect given, but I mean, like it's interesting to see like some charisma about it because that band is sort of mysterious. And
Yeah.
actually, you unlocked a core memory. Actually, to like a previous question when I first heard them, I remember back in like the LimeWire days, I was like just ripping a lot, and I forgot where I saw the band. I saw them somewhere. I was way younger than I previously said, but you talking about the cover, I remember looking at them and I was like, dude, they look kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like Rick looks scary on that cover.
Yeah.
I was
They've
like,
all got
about?
big beards and like their eyes are all just like kind of staring. They're wearing these like old timey kind of clothes. They look like a bunch of like Civil War soldiers or some shit.
Yeah, almost like Southern acolytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like henchmen. But then like you play it, and I remember I remember when I was playing it, the song Jawbone came out, and with that piano intro, I was like, dude, this is like one of the most beautiful things I've heard as an intro. Like it's just fucking incredible. And like I was kind of surprised of the depth of it because I expected like I guess like in the box sort of country music or something. But I was like, nah, they got like everything in there. They got some funk in there. There's soul in there. There's like, in a way, sort of like experimental. It's like very experimental.
Yeah, it's like if you took like country and bluegrass music and set it to a backbeat and a groove and then throw in these harmonies and stuff. It's this fusion of all these different things, obviously all of what they were listening to. But like also just a testament to the musicians that those guys were. I mean, we see in the movie like the interstitial performances, the ones that are just staged that are not part of the live show. They're playing all kinds of shit. They're playing all these different string instruments. They go to like the one with Emmylou. They're like literally like an old time string band.
Yeah, yeah.
And we mentioned the basement tapes, but like on the basement tapes, they're playing all kinds of crazy shit. Garth's playing accordion and just like the way that they just like didn't care kind of what it was and they weren't trying to like define it. They just sort of said, we love all this music and so we're going to make all of this music and it doesn't have to be one thing or the other. And I just feel like at the time for Canadian / North American band, there's just no one like them. And with this movie, you understand why because of the live performance. They talk so much in the movie about how they're touring and they're tired of touring. They've been touring for 16 years and they just want to get off the road. They just want to put it into it because the lifestyle is starting to catch up with them. They talk a lot about the women who they've been with and a little bit about the drugs, but not too much. They're very like, I love the interviews because they're very cagey about what they're willing to say and what they're not willing to say. But at the same time, they all kind of like have let their guard down a little bit, and
well, to add to that, I mean, cut off, but one thing I find interesting in that with everything you're saying, they say a lot more without saying anything just because like I really pay attention to the body language. You can see Richard's a bit jumpy. He's jittery.
Yeah.
Rick's definitely loaded a little bit.
Yeah.
He's loose. Robbie's the put together one. Well, Robbie's the star, I guess, quote unquote. And Levon's laid back. Garth's, the shadow.
Yeah.
So it's like you see the dynamics going down, but also you see the wear and tear of what's been going on. Because even with that, like when the scenes where they're all together in the room talking, you can see the camaraderie, but you can also see a little bit of tension.
Yeah.
You can tell how people are feeling about each other just by like how they respond to the questions and who's willing to talk and even the way they respond. There's one, I forget what question it is, but the way it's like Danko answers the question, but he's so stern in it. It's everybody laughs, but he keeps like this really straight face.
Yeah.
like he's not playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, dude, like, yeah, this is like, these guys have seen some things, you know. You can just tell they've like, you know, experienced a lot. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see like the kind of power dynamic between Robbie and Levon are pretty much the de facto leaders of the band. And then you have Rick and Richard who talk less, but they're still very involved. And then there's one moment where Garth finally speaks, and he's like this kind of Garth is the most mysterious member to me. He's just like this mystic, kind of wild guy. He's got this huge beard, all this crazy hair. He plays the keys like no one else I've ever heard before. And
Dude, at all. I recently learned after his passing that he plays the piano part on the Wait. The da 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 bum 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 bum.
yeah,
Which I think that makes the song, it really elevates it into something more than just this like classic Americana song.
oh
It
yeah,
puts like an orchestral tone to it
yeah,
and an elegance to it. I always thought that was Richard, but nah, that's Garth. I think he's the genius of that band, honestly.
absolutely. Well, and
If there was like the special thing, Garth was the special thing.
yeah, and they talk about how he basically like taught them how to play when they got
Yeah,
together.
it's funny, right? They had to pay him. He's like, I'll play with you, but you got to pay me.
Yeah, his folks, I guess, didn't want him playing in a rock band. He's like this classically trained musician, and so yeah, they're when they decide to get together, Garth's the one who essentially is like teaching them their instruments, which is so crazy. And he's the one who never really gets talked about because he's not the singer, he's not the songwriter. He was the last one to go. He was the last one who was left too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird poetic justice.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but there's something like fitting about that.
Yeah.
Like he's like the silent warrior is the last man standing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the movie. I love they make this decision to start with the encore, which is just crazy, right?
Yes.
They come out and it's like Robbie Robertson says a great line, which he says, "You're still there, huh?" Like they had played the finale, and then there's like those jams, which we'll talk about. But then they go off and they're hanging out backstage a while, and Bill Graham, the guy who runs the venue, is like, "Hey, everybody's still out there. Like they still haven't left." And so there's this moment of like, well, I guess we got to do one. This is also after 7 hours basically of this concert, which was also, it starts with like a Thanksgiving dinner, which I love. They serve the audience turkey dinners, and then there's like this ballroom dance thing happening, which we only see a little clip of in the movie. And then there's the poets. They bring a bunch of poets out from San Francisco to read stuff. We see a couple of those in the movie. But then the movie starts with "Don't Do It," which is basically the last one, before it jumps back to the very beginning. So there's this really interesting, like, you start with the final thing, right, of the Last Waltz, of the last concert that they're going to do together, and then we jump back, and then we see the whole show. And I was looking through the track list. So on the album, the track list is completely different than what it is from the movie.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And some of the tracks are a bit longer too, which is like, you probably saw that detail. Like they kept running out of tape, and I figured that had to be why. Like,
Yeah.
Like the Such a Night is like way shorter on the movie than it is on the album.
Yeah, the album has a couple of cuts on it that just didn't make it on the film because they were running those cameras for 7 fucking hours, and they were running out of film. There were a bunch of like the batteries burned out on the cameras and stuff. And
I bet they were sweating, bro. That's expensive ass job.
I can't imagine. Scorsese talks a bit in the behind the scenes thing about that whole process, and he's actually like on stage, just over on the side of the stage. We never see him in the doc, but he's there, and he's like got a headset mic thing that he's trying to give directions to the camera operators, but he says that the music was so loud that like nobody could hear each other. So honestly, dude, it's a miracle that this shit even happened. Like the shots that they got, you know, it's a miracle that it even works.
Yeah, but thank God it did.
Yeah,
divine intervention.
There's a couple tunes. They do a couple tunes, and then they bring out the first guest, who's Ronnie Hawkins, the Hawk. They started as his backing band. He's like this rockabilly singer in Canada. Really seems more like a country guy.
Yeah, he's like the uncle that you see at the barbecue who's telling like the really nasty jokes that like you kind of like nervously laugh at.
Yeah, yeah. He's a straight up cowboy.
Straight up,
Um,
yeah. Great performer.
he
I was watching it last
has,
night. I was like, dude, this dude's like, he's like a fucking rooster.
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and you can see like I've never seen any of the stuff that they did with him. I don't know if there's any footage of it because it was like the early '60s when they were his backing band. But yeah, he is a performer, and he has what I feel like is the best quote of the movie. And Robbie Robertson is quoting him. He's talking about joining Ronnie Hawkins' band. And he said, he was asking him about it. So what's this? You're offering me a job. What's the job? And he said that Ronnie Hawkins says to him, well, you won't make much money, but you'll get more pussy than Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. That's so good, dude.
Yeah, it just tells you what kind of guy he is.
For sure, yeah. It's here for the party. It's like,
Yeah.
have a good time.
Yeah. The next one is It Makes No Difference. One of my favorite songs. The melodies of that song are so beautiful.
I think that's my favorite performance in the whole tape.
Yeah.
And maybe probably definitely one of my favorite band songs. Like Rick's delivery is so great.
Yeah.
And like the outro with the saxophone solo from Garth.
Oh man.
It's like, come on, man, what are we talking about?
Yeah. And
Fucking
the crowd is loving that too. Like they're going nuts when Garth gets on that saxophone.
Oh man, it's like Stone Cold 98. The pop is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite moments. And it's cool just to see Garth get his flowers real quick. Center stage. He never comes to the front, really. So it's cool to see him out there just getting it.
He has that other moment like later on where he's doing that crazy like synth solo and stuff, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's his first that's his real like shining moment. Such a Night, Dr. John. Just
oh yeah.
There's just nobody like Dr. John, man. Even just when he comes out on stage, you're just like, man, this guy is a true troubadour.
Man, every time I see that and I see him come out and he talks, I'm like, that's Dr. Teeth from the Electric Mayhem, the Muppets.
Yeah.
Like if he was a person, that's Dr. John.
Yeah.
They had to base him off Dr. John, maybe. I don't know. That's like speculation, but
I think they did actually. I think you're right
about
that.
There's a correlation.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. He looks incredible. His voice is just like nobody else's voice.
Yeah.
And then we get Helpless with Neil Young. Neil Young comes out. You know the whole thing about the thing with his lip.
The blow?
Yeah.
Dude, I've been searching for that clip. Like, it's hard to find. Like, I guess they edited it out. I've never seen the original clip. I've looked for it forever. Yeah, but it's funny. Like his jaw's like, he's like, we got it now, boys. That's so funny to me. Like, we got it now, Ricky.
He's like, so when the studio saw that footage, they were like, we have to do something about this. He's got a glob of coke at the bottom of his nose, and so they did up this thing where they put little things over the film to cover that up, basically through the whole performance. It was a very like painstaking process. But he also sees something on his lip. Like I don't know what's going on there. He's doing this thing with his jaw. Like you said, he's like chomping. To me, it looks like he's chomping hay. Like it's just
full mule mouth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's this amazing decision to have Joni Mitchell backstage singing backups for him, which they did because they didn't want to like ruin the surprise of Joni Mitchell coming out later.
Which that's really smart chess. I always wondered, I was like, why not just put her out there? I was like, no, okay, you gotta wait for the surprise.
Yeah.
And I bet like somebody in the audience is like, man, is that Joni? So that's like building anticipation. That's pretty cool.
They had to know it was. I mean, as soon as she opens her mouth, you know it's Joni Mitchell. It's like it's unmistakable. She comes out literally 2 songs later. There's the Neil Diamond song, which I've never been a Neil Diamond guy. I like a handful of his tunes. But
it's funny is like apparently they weren't either, or like that was like I read somewhere that was a Robbie move. It's like a business decision because when he came, like Levon was like, "Who the fuck are you?" It was like, why are you here? You know, paraphrasing, but like so like I don't know. I always thought that one's like that's definitely the oddball in the whole thing.
Yeah,
it don't even look like it makes sense. Really, it's like okay,
no, he really is kind of the odd man out. So I think I skipped that one. There's a few kind of clunkers in this, which I always forget about every time I watch it. Like there's just a couple tunes where I'm like, it just isn't really the Paul Butterfield one also just doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Okay, Yeah, I feel that in
And
a way.
then there's like maybe one other, but then Joni Mitchell comes out and does Coyote. Amazing. She looks like
Yeah,
she's
one of
having
Robbie's better guitar performances in that, and I think he's like a great. I think he's kind of really undercredited as a guitar player,
he's a
but
great
his
guitar
like
player.
his volume control and his tone knob thing that he's doing, it's like really sending it over, and just like kind of opening up the depths that band has, like as far as making an atmosphere.
Well, and that song, it has such a complex arrangement. Like Joni Mitchell is known for these like incredibly like intricate chord progressions, and the way she arranges her songs is like just so different from your typical 1-4-5 kind of thing. So even for them, it seems like it's kind of a new challenge. They're definitely like adding something to it. I feel like she looks like she's having a great time with a backing band behind her.
Yeah, which gives more weight to their name. Like they really are like very selfless, backing
Yeah,
people up.
yeah.
Which I
Well,
think is like I was really admiring that how good of a time they were having, like not having to sing. Like everybody else, they're having just as much fun backing as they are doing their own songs.
yeah. I mean, it comes from them being in Ronnie Hawkins's band, them being Bob Dylan's band. Like that's the roots that they're coming from. So it feels like this is a lot of these numbers are just like a showcase for them as a backing band. The Van Morrison one we'll talk about in a minute. Muddy Waters, Manish Boy.
So glad they brought Muddy, dude, just to pay respects to where like a lot of that shit comes from.
Yeah,
Plus, it's all also Black Power. Good to see a brother in there.
yeah.
There's one black dude playing tuba. I always love him. I was like, yeah, that's my guy.
Right.
I was like, hell yeah.
On that one, that one's really interesting because they almost didn't get it. And if you notice when you watch that, it's just that one camera shot on Muddy Waters for like 3 or 4 full minutes. It's just like kind of slowly zooming in, and it's because they didn't get the communication. They were all taking a break. Scorsese talks about this. He says, from time to time they would have to take breaks because they're just filming for so long. Films run out, the canisters run out in the cameras. They got to reload film. So there was only one camera running when Muddy Waters comes out, and somehow that guy got the shot. And then towards the end of the number, there's finally a different shot by the time the rest of the cameramen had gotten back to their stations and stuff. So it's kind of incredible that that one's even in the movie.
That might
But
be a blessing in disguise thing too, because it adds a different sort of intensity, at least in
yeah,
that little moment. Especially somebody like Muddy, because Muddy is like sort of like a mystical figure anyway.
yeah,
Like there's like so much legend around him. So to see him like clear cut and center for a minute, for a while, especially on like probably one of the biggest stages he ever played.
yeah,
I know as far as like
definitely.
his outreach. So it's like it's kind of nice that it's like a that's him getting his flowers in a weird way.
Yeah, definitely. I just love that you're just focused on what he's doing the whole time, which is how it should be for that tune.
He has an
Um,
incredible face too. Like you see so much of his
yeah,
story in his face. He just has like
yeah,
such a look, you know.
yeah. A lot. I feel like so many of those blues guys from that era have such a distinguished look about them.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a painful sweet thing because they look like you see the pain in it, but you can see like there's like this like I don't know. I'd almost call it holiness. I can't. I
yeah,
don't know. It's
yeah,
almost like holiness and like a bit of devilish at the same time. I don't know. It's weird.
yeah. Then we get Eric Clapton further on up the road. Another one that I kind of just could take or leave. I've never been the biggest Clapton guy. I
Man,
think
me neither.
yeah, I think what he did was important, obviously, and it influenced a ton of people. But I just
Ironically, I think he's like almost like he would be a great member of the band 'cause I think he's a better backer than he is a frontman.
yeah,
'Cause a lot of his
I
work, I mean, like a lot of All Things Must Pass, a lot of those lines are Clapton, which I didn't know till
hmm
later.
hmm
So it's like
yeah,
he's definitely like a great accent player. But I'm kind of with
yeah,
you. I kind of look over his performance, just like it is what it is.
yeah. Obviously, like while my guitar gently weeps, Derek and the Dominoes, like he did some stuff that was really powerful, but then like when you look on this in hindsight too and see like the kind of guy he's become and the way and the sort of his personal politics and everything,
Yeah.
just like really turned me off of him. Oh shit, you know what? We skipped the weight with the Staples.
Oh
Um
shit. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
that's the first one we see that's not in the show. Which I imagine like of course they did that song at the show, right?
You would think so. It'd be weird if they didn't.
They must have, and I guess they decided that this take was better or something. It is cool to see the Staple Singers doing this song. I really like Pop's verse just because I just love his voice and the way he's just like very subtly kind of doing little small run. I just love how he melodicizes things.
Kind of took the words out of my mouth. His delivery is really nice. It's really soft and sweet.
He just has that like soft as butter voice, you know.
It's comforting. It's truly like Papa. Like you like the room kind of stops when he comes on.
I mean that's obviously a hugely important song. It's a song that I feel like every musician at one point in time or another has learned how to play.
It's got to be in the top 10 of like if you get called in, somebody does a cover, that's probably going to be in there.
Yeah. And
like everyone covers it.
Yeah, and you can probably bet that any musician you know is going to know it or can at least like play it from memory after a little while. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. It's really not that complicated.
No, it's a simple song.
But it's cool because they make it so flush. Like if you were to hear it, you'd be like, I don't know, when I started seeing people do it, I'm like, damn, they're going to do the weight. But then when you play it, it's like, dude, there's really not too much to it, but they just added so much to it. They really put the fixings on it. And I don't know, speaks to that. Just taking something small and just making it a grandiose thing.
Yeah. Later is the Emmylou song, Evangeline, where, the band is just backing her up and they're playing all those stringed instruments. It's what I like that one because I like her, but it's also one that I kind of always forget about whenever I'm watching this movie. I think I'm just so like obsessed with the concert itself, you know, with the live performances.
Well, yeah, that and like it kind of speaks to just the star power that's on stage. Like, I don't know, it's like a cream rising to the top, but that's a really hard race. It's like everybody, like it's like a photo finish for everybody.
Yeah.
Or something, you know?
Yeah, you can feel like they're kind of just trying to get to the end of it, especially in the second half, you know. I mean, like I mentioned, this was just such a long show and everybody, the crew, the cameras, the band, I mean, they're all like clearly having a great time and performing like just unbelievably well. But it's also like there are certain points where you can see like they're starting to sweat, they're starting to get tired.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think it's funny. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, not to get ahead. But I think it's funny when like they announce Ronnie Wood. I think the expression in his body on his face is so funny. He's like, "Oh, fucking finally!" It's like I've been trying to get out of here.
He's wearing that ridiculous tuxedo T-shirt.
Incredible design. I love that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he just does the typical Ronnie Wood thing. Before that, we get Ophelia, one of my personal favorite band songs. I've always loved that song.
Yeah, that one's a fucking heater.
It grooves. The melodies of that tune are so great.
I think that's definitely one of the ones that's like, as far as like a quote unquote pop song, that one's like just like such a jammer. Really, really like drives it home.
It's very singable,
and very groovable.
Yeah.
Also, to back up, one part in that movie I really like, but also is like, I guess in a weird way, kind of sad if you start digging into the history of that group. Is when they do The State I'm In, and it showcases Richard, and just I don't know the way he looks, man. You can tell he's just tired, or he's been through it, you know. I remember the first time I watched it, it was kind of scary looking. I was like, "Holy shit, man! Like you look like you need to go to bed or something."
Yeah, I think Richard was the hardest living guy, probably of the group. He it feels like he has the kind of the most pain inside of him, but then he starts singing, man, and it's like I love his voice. I love Richard Manuel's voice. He doesn't sing a bunch of the songs, but the songs he does sing, like that one.
I was like, I think that's the only one he gets lead on in the movie.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Through the catalog, King Harvest, that's King Richard.
Harvest, yeah.
Oh, Whispering Pines.
Oh,
that's Richard.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that song's so haunting. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Also one of the best bass lines. Rick killed that shit. They said he always they said he had that Ray Charles thing. Which, side note, there is a version of Georgia on My Mind that he sings, and it's like It Can Hang. No easy song to cover and do it and like do justice, but he can hang.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. Right after that we get Caravan, Van Morrison. A guy I just kind of come back to periodically over the years. Like I kind of sort of discovered him probably early college. My buddy had the Van Morrison album that is like, I think it's called His Choir Band or something like that.
The street choir
Street
thing,
Choir,
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
great record. I feel like probably his best record. Everybody talks about Astral Weeks, but that one has so much like gospel and like blues and R&B kind of stuff going on.
that's the one with like Domino on it, right?
That's the one with Domino. Yeah, that was the
Okay.
hit from it. Weirdly
Yeah.
enough, I don't think there were any other hits from that album, but there's just lots of really. He's like fusing a lot of stuff together, and yeah, it's like lights out with him. I feel like on Caravan.
Dude, his one more time, like that little, he's like, one more time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shit cracks me up every time.
And he just kind of walks off while they're still playing too. Like, he's like the only guy who does that. I feel like.
Pretty rock star,
Yeah.
especially in that fucking velvet suit.
Yeah,
Yeah, real deal.
He's looking good. Lawrence Ferlinghetti, famous San Francisco poet, comes on and does a poem. Of course, that was much earlier in the evening, but they spliced it in there right before Dylan shows up. Now, I don't know if you read any about this or anything, but I discovered this morning, which is that Dylan didn't want to be filmed for the movie because he had that movie Ronaldo and Clara out at the same time, and he thought being in this movie would interfere with that in some way, which is just like such a typical Dylan thing. Like nobody knows that movie really or remembers it at all, but him being, the guy that he is. But if that were to happen, what I kept reading on that was like, if they weren't going to be able to film Dylan, they were going to lose $1 million from the budget because the studio was paying to get Bob Dylan on screen.
Holy shit.
And Scorsese's like freaking out about it. He's like, somebody has to talk to Bob. You have to talk to Bob to get him. We got to get him to agree to this. And Bill Graham goes and talks to Bob and somehow finally convinces him to let them record 2 songs. And they start with Forever Young. The thing I noticed this time watching Forever Young is it goes through like 4 tempo changes. Like they cannot settle in.
Classic Dylan.
Yeah, they just can't click in somehow. And I think it's Levon. It feels like it's Levon who finally like actually picks it up. It's like, we need to get through this song because Dylan starts it so slow.
Yeah, which I always like kind of like, I'll have beef with it, I guess. But like when you compare it to the studio version, it's the studio version, the tempo's perfect.
Yeah.
Just like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, they started, it's almost like a march.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like a weird like soldier's march or something.
It gradually finally picks up. There's a moment where he's looking out at somebody in the audience and he's like kind of talking to him a little bit. And I've always wondered who he saw, who he was talking to in that part. I don't know if you caught that.
I don't think I did, but it must be pretty important if they got Bob's attention, or he must really like him.
Yeah, you see him just kind of like look, and he's like looking. He's still playing, of course, and everything. But then he like notices somebody and kind of points at him and is talking to him a little bit before he goes back to singing. It's really interesting.
It's funny that Bob has a type. I say that because, have you ever seen Concert for Bangladesh?
Part of it, yeah. I've never watched the whole thing.
It's funny that you say that story about trying to get Dylan there because it was the exact same thing then. It was post motorcycle crash. And first, George talked to him and he was like, okay, I'll do it. But then he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. But apparently at that one, Phil Spector had to leave the concert, drive to his house, and pretty much drag him there. And everybody's like, is he going to come? And then like, no one knew till he got there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, holy shit, that's Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I wonder if he does that as a little game in his head. I don't know.
Oh, I feel like definitely. I mean, you see him doing all kinds of shit like that at obviously, like Newport is probably the biggest, most famous example of the first time he just completely takes everybody's expectations of him and just like, no, I'm gonna do something else, right?
Yeah, true.
But he is that guy who's like, you never know what's going on in his head. I love when they break into Baby Let Me Follow You Down. They really get rocking on that one.
Yeah. Highlight.
It's a good track. He's like really starting to feel it and groove with it and stuff. I should have looked up what are the other songs. There's like 1 or 2 more songs that he does that are on the actual album, but that they didn't get to film because of that whole deal. But he's the last guy who comes on before they do the finale. And the finale is like, it's just about everybody, but there's a couple people missing. Emmy Lou's not there, right? Because she was in the other part.
Was she at the concert?
I feel like she must have been. You know what's really surprising to me, man, is like I feel like George Harrison would be here. Like, why is he not there?
That's a great question,
You
dude.
know?
You think he would be?
Yeah.
He definitely like praised that group a lot.
Yeah, and he worked with like so many of these other people. Well, now that I look at it, I guess everybody is up there with him. Well, Muddy's not up there, but it's Dylan, it's Clapton, it's Neil Diamond, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Paul Butterfield, Dr. John, Ronnie Hawkins is just standing on stage. He's just like enjoying it. He's not singing or anything. He's back there. He's kind of like standing next to Levon's drum kit, and just like you see a couple great shots of him where he's just like having a ball. He's probably pretty lit by that point in the night.
Have you ever read that? Where they have like it was like the white room in the back. Have you heard that story?
No. What's that?
It's like it was like I guess it was like kind of the green room, but they made it the white room, and apparently every table had some sugar on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I bet it did. I mean, as soon as Neil Young walks out, man, you're like, damn, he must have spent hours in there.
I know.
Yeah, some of these guys are off their rockers a little bit. And then there's the kind of Last Waltz outro. That last final shot where the camera is just panning out. Somebody was talking about this on I think it's the guy Scorsese talks to in the interview on the Criterion disc. He said he felt like it was that was significant of them almost being like on a boat on the ocean, and you're just like panning out, and then they're like off to sea, like setting sail.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
that effect's definitely there. I see a lot of Deer Hunter in that. I wonder. I'm like, man, I wonder if like Deer Hunter got the idea of like the opening ballroom scene.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they looked at that and there's like, man, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But also, it's kind of cool that they're playing to nobody. I like that it's an empty ballroom.
Yeah.
And they're just there, just like, and they're performing just as well as if somebody. It makes it way more like kind of like to the bone.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude.
Really, really hits.
You can just, you still see the musicianship and the way that they are just like completely in it. They're completely performing just for the sole purpose of making the music, and it's really powerful. So in the chronology of the show, right before the finale, or right after the finale, they do those two jams. There's two jams. There's only one that got caught on film because they ran out. And even when you watch it, the cameras like go black at a certain point because they run out of film, but you can still hear the sound going.
Yeah.
And Stephen Stills just shows up for a minute. He was obviously at the show, right? Which just, it led me to believe like there's probably even more people there who didn't have like a planned thing to come on and do with them.
Shout out Carl Radel, he's there.
Okay,
he was the bassist in Derek and the Dominoes, but I thought it was cool that he was there. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, he gets like there's like very little footage of him, so I was like, it's cool. He's got like something out there.
Yeah, is that the guy who's playing the bass in that jam?
And he's got the glasses.
Yeah,
and it's Carl Radel.
Okay, cool. I was trying to figure out who that was. That jam is really interesting because there's just people that just like kind of wander on and then they wander off after a couple minutes.
Yeah, just like mad loose.
Neil Young is the one who's kind of leading the whole thing, and he's just like having a ball. Ronnie Wood sounds great on that jam. He's doing some really cool slide stuff.
Yeah, undercredited slide player, kind of undercredited guitar player. He's got some really interesting moves.
Yeah, let's see what else I had in my notes. I mean, I feel like I got
one story. Like I wanted to say this earlier when you were saying the thing about the poems and the poets.
Yeah,
it's cool that did get caught because that almost seems like a Scorsese move if he was to write something. Like just have like a guy, it's cool that there's like a bit of monologue within it. It's not just pure music. There's definitely like a weird story. And this like the I don't know if it's like on purpose, but the pieces are oddly fitting to the whole tale.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really speaks to the legacy of that place, of San Francisco, especially a certain time period. The 60s San Francisco was like the true hub of the peace and love and music movement, the flower power, like all that stuff was happening out there. All this like wild new experimental poetry. It almost feels like probably Allen Ginsberg should have been there too.
Seriously.
Because I'm thinking about him. This is roughly the same time that Dylan is doing the Rolling Thunder, or maybe it's like right after Dylan's doing the Rolling Thunder review in 75. because the concert's in '76. The movie doesn't come out until 2 years later. It took them so long to work the soundtrack and to do all this post production stuff that they had to do.
78's the release date on that?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that.
They shot it in '76. Scorsese had just finished making New York, New York. Actually, he was making New York, New York at the same time. And he is also in the throes of like a true cocaine addiction during this time. That interview I mentioned on the late night thing with him and Robbie Robertson, he's hopped up. He's like, he talks like a mile a minute. I don't know. Every time I see this, I'm just like, it's kind of remarkable that this exists and that it is as good as it is.
Yeah, every watch is truly better than the last.
Yeah.
And it seems like every time you watch it, you catch something new. I comfort watch that movie for a long time. Like, just like, I was like, what do I want to watch? It's like, well, I can like clean the house to this. You can listen to it. But like tuning in, every story is like, you just pick up on something new. You pick up on like different sort of languages in body and in tone. And like the more you research about, like the more you dive into the history, more opens up. Like I think Rick's part where he's in the studio, it's like him and Marty just talking.
That's so cool. Yeah, I noted that this time too of like, oh, Rick had some music that was pretty good, and he was like he was gonna make his own music.
Dude, for sure. But it's also interesting to see that he's kind of in his space, like, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
You can definitely kind of see that in him. It's like he's like, just keep working. You can see like there's an unsureness about it.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of it's sort of beautiful. Like just like I don't know, it's like I guess like I don't know, people getting divorced or something. Yeah. It's like you love each other, but then like you just know you got to move on. It's like, well, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, I think a lot about like they really talk about how the main reason they want to stop is to get off the road because they just don't want to tour anymore. But then I think like, why didn't they just keep making studio albums? Why didn't they do like a Beatles thing and just like keep making records together? And it just leads you to believe there just must have been so much going on with the interpersonal relationships of these guys that they couldn't really work together anymore. But they really make it about the fact that they just don't want to tour. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of curious.
In a weird way, I think that's sort of like trying to put a ribbon on a piece of really badly made cake.
Yeah.
Because like if you like there was so much business in the background that just really wasn't doing everybody like their fair justice. Like Robbie really had the reins. He was like the brains of that band. But in that, there were like a lot of publishing deals gone bad, a lot of credit that was like miscommunicated or they thought was like misinterpreted. Because, like, I mean, if you go look at the records, every record says written by Robbie Robertson. It's not written by the band. Right. So with that, I think there was probably like an interpersonal tension of just like,
he clearly wanted control of it. As the years went on, we know, like with hindsight now, that Levon was a much bigger part of the songwriting process. Richard Manuel was a much bigger part of the songwriting process. Like, Robbie Robertson did not write those songs on his own. He didn't write all those lyrics on his own. He didn't produce the records on his own. Like, for a long time, actually, his whole attitude and the way he presented himself as, like, he was the heart and soul of the band really, like, rubbed me the wrong way. I was just always a huge Levon Helm fan. I mean, Levon, watching this again, I was like, he might have the best right hand in rock and roll. Like, he's just so tight and so solid with that hi-hat and with just like the way he does.
I'm so glad you said something about the hi-hat, dude. Yeah. It's so funky. Yeah. It really like has that swing to it. It's almost like a weird Dilla swing. Ringo had the same thing. Yeah. It's just off enough. Just off enough.
Yeah. He'll jump from quarter notes to eighths for just like a bar and then like back, and then he'll throw in accents here and there. The crack of the snare, like he's always got a like just really solid snare crack. There's not like a weak hit ever.
Nah, which is kind of awesome since he plays traditional. Yeah, like, I found that so impressive. It's hard to get a good crack, and he fucking whips it. Yeah, it's great. It's great,
and he's singing the whole time.
I know, like a boss.
It's unreal,
dude. To go back to the Robbie thing, like to touch on it. with that, like I meet people and they like you meet musicians and when you talk about that band, people are like, I meet a lot of people like, dude, fuck Robbie Robinson.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I get that, and I think he did. I think he could have done it better as far
yeah,
as like looking out for his mates.
right,
But at the same time, man, like that movie kind of shows it. If he wasn't there, who knows like how far they
yeah,
would have went.
yeah,
Almost like Paul with the Beatles. Like Ringo says it so many times. Like, man, if Paul wasn't there, we probably would have made 3 records because everybody else was busy, like either hanging out or doing their own thing, or just like much more relaxed.
yeah,
Like Paul's like the whip cracker. So you got to
yeah,
give Robbie his due on that. So
yeah.
I
That's
will give him his
that's
respect on that.
yeah, that's totally true. He's the like the glue that held it together for those 16 years, which is still kind of amazing that it lasted as long as it did.
Fuck yeah, that is a long time.
Yeah. And it's
Long
not even as long as, most bands who reach that status typically go for. I mean, I guess at that time, when you think about it now, it seems like a really long time to keep a band together because I mean, for you and me especially, like I've never been in a band for more than 2 years at a time, like that lasted that long, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, they come and go like they come and go like the mail. It's
yeah.
kind of the nature of the beast of it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's so tough to keep a band together. You're dealing with so many personalities. Different people have different preferences on. Some people want to tour. Some people don't want to tour. Some people have families or they have jobs and like obligations that keep them from committing to it. And then you get into arguments in the studio, and like everybody thinks they have the right call and the right opinion, and
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that bands can exist in the first place. Just because I mean,
it
you know how
really
it
is.
is being an artist. Like it's such a personal thing, even
Yeah,
when you're with people. And like you said, I'm glad you pointed that out about like decision makings and just creating something in itself. Like if you really feel strongly about it, you really and you hear it in your head, you really want to hear it on the record. Because once
yeah,
it's down.
yeah,
That can be that can really bring some tension and long
yeah.
lasting tension. Unfortunately,
Yeah, totally. And it makes you wonder about like what are the kinds of things that the other members of the band just kind of like conceded the point to Robbie, of like, well, maybe they wanted to do a certain thing and he kind of had the final say, so they just sort of gave up. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. But you're right in that there kind of always has to be a clear leader, I think, in keeping a band together. Or at least there has to be somebody who is putting their foot down and like keeping everybody in line and saying like we need to focus. And I've been in bands where there wasn't that person, and it is kind of just like this amorphous thing where you're fluctuating, and it takes a lot to just even now, like looking back on it, I've been several years removed from it now, but the fact that you're even able to book a show and like get people to show up is kind of a miracle in itself,
dude, that's so real,
Uh,
dude. So
uh,
true.
yeah, man. Well, anything else you have to say? Is there anything you feel like we didn't cover on the last waltz?
Uh, I'd like to cover this. I think that story. Do you remember the Jack Ruby story?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I think that's very interesting, especially living here now. Like
yeah,
I think it's way more interesting because like clearly he's talking about an energy that's
hmm
in that space because he's like, dude, there's only 3 people here. How can you even get in a fight?
yeah,
But like, I think there's something to that, man. Like, dude, if you ever come, we gotta go to the Texas Theater.
yeah.
But I say that because, like, as cool as the Texas is, as soon as you walk up to it, it's eerie. There's
Mm-hmm.
just something there, and you can't explain it. And then you walk in, and the way it's laid out, and they haven't really touched it, and everything's classic.
Mm.
Going into the movies feels weird. Once you get into the actual theater, it feels like it almost feels like a Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
It feels like something's just about to go down. Like this really weird unsettlingness. But I think it's funny that story exists, especially after living in Dallas. I'm like, okay, I think I know what he means.
yeah.
Pretty
There's some
dope.
great stories. They tell us that there's one story I can't remember which one, but there's this moment where it's Levon and Robbie, and Levon's talking, and he's telling some story. I don't know if it's when he's talking about Memphis. It might be when he's talking about Memphis, but they both like go to light a cigarette, and Levon's got the match, and he lights Robbie's cigarette first. And then he keeps that fucking match lit while he's talking for like a full minute. And I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know how he keeps that match lit. And then he finally lights his own cigarette. It reminded me of so many, like gatherings I've been at and stuff of like musicians just hanging out. But also like there's something so I just love Levon. There's just something so special about Levon Helm and just kind of the way he moved through life, and his observations are so interesting.
To back that up, like apparently he didn't want to. Apparently he really wasn't into it. Like him and Marty didn't get along.
Yeah,
Like he had like reservations about it. But it's that scene is like there's like a weird performative aspect to it. But he's not
yeah,
But he's not performing. I
yeah,
think he's just really that dude.
yeah.
Like
Well, it's like
he's
you
just a
said,
captivating
he's
guy.
the only American in the band. We got this laid back kind of Southern drawl, really like part of the roots, the fabric of roots music. He's in Coal Miner's Daughter, and then he did all these amazing shows at the Ryman late in his life. Just a fascinating guy. Just one of my favorite musicians ever.
Isn't
Um,
he in what's that one? Laura Dern movie? Is it Cool Talk or something like that?
Smooth Talk. Yeah.
Smooth Talk. I think he plays her dad, don't he?
Yeah, I
I
haven't seen that movie, but it's been on my list for a minute actually. But yeah, you're right about that. He is in that movie. Yeah, fascinating career. I mean, some of these guys, you never really hear much again from Rick Danko or Richard Manuel or Garth, and it's kind of sad, but also you're just sort of like, I mean, maybe like it's almost like maybe these guys weren't cut out for the life in a way, and maybe they found something like a little more. I mean, it was really sad reading about Garth Hudson, kind of how his estate was towards his final days. I don't know if
What
you
is that
caught.
story? Yeah, I
Well,
don't
it
know.
just he was having to like auction off basically everything he owned to pay his bills and stuff, and it was really sad. He didn't have any help really. He had, I think, a caretaker, but he didn't really have any family or anything, and it was pretty big bummer to hear about when all that was going on.
That's
So
unfortunate, man. It reminds me of
yeah,
like war vets or something who like
yeah,
go and like they fight and they come back and they're just like they don't have
and then
shit.
they got nothing. Yeah,
That sucks, man.
yeah,
Especially with how like prolific of a guy in that band is. I don't know. I feel like those people should be taken care of forever.
absolutely.
You know, I wish they
Yeah,
start GoFundMes. I give them a few bucks. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
dude, yeah, you earned it. You know.
Obviously, Richard Manuel he killed himself. Yeah, it's just it just put such a strange kind of haze over my watching experience, knowing they're all gone now, and like this is a true like artifact of the past in a different way that like watching an old black and white movie would be, because obviously when you watch something really old, you think, well, all these people are dead, but it's not like this feels it's so alive. The music is so alive and it's so fucking electric on stage and everything, and they're having such a great time. Yeah, that it gave me a new perspective on it, I think.
That's a good point, man. It's definitely you said it like it's so just up. It's
Yeah,
so like just I don't know. It's kind of joyous. It's a pretty
absolutely.
joyous occasion. It's a ball. It's
Yeah,
really awesome to watch. It's a
yeah.
fun time. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that like yeah, all those guys are gone.
That's life.
That's
Um,
life, dude.
yeah.
Even with that, like you said it, like it's interesting to see in that movie, and it kind of does pre-tell, especially with the stories, like you said. Like I think the life caught up to a lot of them. You know,
Mhm.
like just like I mean, no life is easy, but rock and roll definitely ain't easy. And
Yeah.
there's so many fucking hurdles to jump, and unfortunately, it gets the best of some people. Like you kind of see in that, you can definitely tell they're like, probably struggling with addiction and struggling with like even that one part where they're talking about like they're about to bring something about girls, and like Levon goes, "I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that."
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
like it's like you see like there's like this shit's like pretty deep. Like they're definitely like going like got a lot of battles and a lot of battles that like I don't think there's any like kind of pride to them. It's like I mean they don't want that shit to show up. Like what
Right.
happens in the shadows. Sometimes just stay in the shadows. Not everything's meant for TV.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
exactly. They're pretty careful about, what they're willing to talk about. And another thing that goes along with the touring lifestyle is it's a young person's game, and these guys are getting older. They're all in their middle age by this point. I definitely start to like relate to that more as I get older and think about how it was like it was even tough for me touring when I was in my early 20s. Thinking about doing it now would be even harder.
Yeah.
It's a tough life, but the reason people do it is because there's just nothing like playing live music. There's no other experience that can even like equate to it, I think.
I'd agree, man. That and it's just like sort of like I'll do what I have to do to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like they're clearly like I mean they're just I would say all of them are virtuosos in their own way. And like, I mean, if that's what you got, if that's like, I mean, if that's your like a golden goose, so to speak, like you gotta pay the bills too.
Mhm.
So if you gotta do it, like you gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know, you'll pay the price to do what you love to do.
Yeah, man. Well, I feel like I want to let you go. I know you're probably roasting out there, man. It looks hot.
Oh, dude, it's definitely hot.
Yeah,
I'm chilling, but like,
it's
yeah, I
hot
appreciate
here
that,
too,
man.
man.
Yeah, how's it feeling over your way?
It's nasty, dude. It's
Are
just nasty.
you in Nash or Knox?
I'm in Knox still. Yeah,
Knox still.
yeah. I
Okay.
just moved into a new place. Got me my studio set up again. I got my guitars out and piano in the back.
You look dialed in, man. It looks cozy as hell in there.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm getting a couch in a couple days.
Man, I gotta say, man, I've seen your thing grow like quite a bit over the past year. I'm like, yo, proud of you, dude. And it's
Thank you,
really
man.
cool to see, dude. It's inspiring.
Thank
Like,
you.
know that. Yeah, I see you
Yeah,
do. I see you just like climbing the ladder. Even like even your letterbox engagement. I just see the numbers keep going. I was like, look at the homie. You're
yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
It's pretty
Thank you,
cool.
man. Yeah, I'm trying real hard. You know, I'm putting the work in and starting to do these things. Like I'm going to Toronto for the festival and I'm trying to do more of that in the future. Trying to do more writing, get people to, in whatever way I can, to try and read that. So it's coming along. It's a slow race, but you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint for sure. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. It feels like I am really making some progress here. So it's nice.
Man, I'm glad it is like I'm glad you're having a slow build. I mean, do you feel me on this? Like, I think a lot of the best things are slow builds.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
I don't know. You lay such a foundation, and I think you can kind of develop the room to stay yourself with a slow build. You know, you're not
yeah,
like. I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to answer to anybody. You just do your thing
Right,
on your terms. That's
right.
like, I mean, what else could you want from that? Especially in art and like any type of business it's in.
Yeah,
Everybody like, I mean, there's so many just like peckers. You know,
yeah,
people
yeah,
trying to like dictate this, dictate that, trying to like take the direction of their own. So it's cool that you can like gain something that like where you're sole proprietor and you're like like this is the mission statement and we're sticking to the statement. So
yeah. And it's like it's kind of funny for how for so long I was like I was just looking for other people to do stuff with, for other collaborators and everything. I was always kind of afraid of doing everything on my own. And then at a certain point, man, I was just like, well, I have this knowledge, I have this skill set. I might as well do something with it. I'm my own boss. I don't have to answer to anybody and I have full creative control over it. So it's been super rewarding, man, and just getting to have these conversations with people has just been like huge. Not even in terms of like professional, but in terms of my personal life, like having these kind of conversations about movies with people who love the same things that I do has just been huge in terms of like it really feeds me creatively. You know, it feeds me and lets me it makes me want to continue doing it. Which I told myself when I started this whole thing, like the moment that I stop enjoying it, then I'll just stop. But I'm still enjoying it all. So
man, cheers to that,
it
man.
feels good to keep going. Yeah, man.
And you gotta know, man, like I feel like you're you said it's feeding you, but like you're also like I think it's feeding people. I listen to these podcasts and
Oh,
like
thank you, man.
it really opens up just like what movies do for people and how
Hmm.
important movies can be. Like, I think as artists, sometimes, like, at least I can't speak for everybody. Sometimes I'll be like, man, like, there are people out there putting out fires. There are people out there, like, in the ER. It's like, are these songs really a thing? But then you start, like, you got to get reminded every once in a while, like, why these things are so important and what they can do
Yeah,
for people. And they can really kind of turn people around. So it's cool that you're, like, in a world where you can, like, keep that flame going, reminding people that like, I mean, dude, this is our art's important.
yeah.
It's so important,
Especially now.
yeah, especially now.
Yeah,
And like the medium of movie, I think honestly, I think movies are the as far as like a pinnacle art source. I kind of think movies are it, man. Just
yeah.
because like everything's there, cinematography's there, soundtrack is there, emotion like writing in itself is like reading a book. I mean,
Hmm.
it's like it's really like it's the the full spectrum.
Yeah.
So for them to be really done right is just like
Yeah.
it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's incredibly rewarding.
It really is. Yeah, man, I feel exactly the same way. That was beautifully said. I think I'll use that as the outro
Hey,
for our convo here.